All right, this is a good one. I got my notes. We're ready to go. My name is Vince, by the way. We're doing the RR show here. I love episodes like this. This one is a grab bag episode. So here's what we're going to do. I'm moving around on my chair here. Trish trying to get ready. I'm excited here. All right, so we got Pro Revenge. It's going to be the last story. The second and third stories are from the perennial favorite, at least for me, Neighbors from Hell. But the first story we're going to go with is r/IDontWorkHereLady. That's a subreddit. We're going to start here first. So like I said, from r/IDontWorkHereLady, posted by user ThatOneDonut88. Got yelled at for wanting chips. I'm posting this now as it's fresh and I'm still in shock that it happened. I've been mistaken for an employee at many various times in my life, and a few of those times have been worse than this. But this one ranks pretty high on my WTF list. About an hour ago, I snagged a ride to the gas station near my house because I was hit with a pregnancy craving for chips. Uneventful 5-ish minute ride, and got a particularly nice Uber driver who said to take my time. She was marking me dropped off, so I'd only be charged for part of the ride, and she'd take me home free of charge. So the adventure started off nice. Go inside the gas station, and I'm standing in front of the chips, trying to decide how many bags I can buy without my husband getting miffed at me for spending too much money. Don't worry, he doesn't actually get mad. I probably look like I'm carrying twins because this child is already well above average size. Lucky me. So I know I take up a good chunk of real estate wherever I'm standing. After a minute or two, I hear someone clearing their throat. I automatically figure I'm in the way, so I say, "Excuse me," and step back to let what I now see to be a 40-something-year-old woman. Again, let me remind y'all, we're in a gas station, not a supermarket or any sort of store where you'd think to see employees in the aisles. Heck, there aren't many aisles. Anyway, she doesn't walk by, so I started to move to the end of the aisle. Figured she didn't have enough room to comfortably get by, but is it ever that easy? She stepped forward and asked where I was going. I replied I was moving out of her way. To which she responds saying I can't just walk away. She needed help. That stumped me. Help as in, so I just asked that. She fires back with, "I've seen spicy lime lays here before, so I want to know when you'll get more of them or if they're in a different spot." Now I realize what's going on. I tell her I don't work there, but apparently that wasn't the correct answer. Instead of an "oh, I'm sorry," or even just a rude stomping away, she says, "I've seen you here before. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you can't help a customer." Obviously, she was going to stick with that. So I just walked back, grabbed a few bags of chips, and walked the next aisle to see if I wanted anything else. I heard a few "excuse me's" after that, but I just ignored them. I paid, waddled outside. However, much like late night TV during the 90s, but wait, there's more. I don't know if this woman wasn't willing to admit she was wrong or seriously thought she wasn't wrong, but she decided the obviously next appropriate action was to follow me out. I went to open the car door, and this squawking Laka puts her hand on the car door, making to shut it. Proceeds to tell me I can't just walk away from a customer asking a question. If you're wondering where the actual clerk is, well, so was I at this point. I honestly could not believe this was happening. I still can't believe it even happened. Thankfully, like I mentioned, I'd gotten a pretty awesome Uber driver. She popped out of the car and asked if I was okay. Karen shoots off that she wasn't talking to her, but before I could say anything else, the driver says, "Well, now you're talking to me. Get away from her and my car before I come over there and slap you so hard you won't remember how to talk." I'm not entirely sure that made Karen realize I wasn't an employee, or if it just scared her enough to make her find a different employee. But she hustled to a vehicle a few spots over and got in her car. I got back in the Uber and we watched her leave. Guess she forgot about her chips. After making sure I was alright, the Uber driver and I had a pretty good laugh on the way back to my house. She still wouldn't even accept a tip from me, but I sneakily tipped her into the app after she drove off so she couldn't argue. Honestly, I'm waiting for people to show up so everyone claps, but I still can't fully believe that this event happened, especially at a gas station convenience store. Not even a big one. It wasn't even the size of a 7-Eleven. So what in the world made her assume that a woman in a sundress, the employees of this chain of stations wear a turquoise polo, who just so happened to be standing in the front of the chips, was an employee? And why continue bullheading forward after being told I don't work there, then not just walking away, but purchasing items and leaving the store? Times like this, I'm truly stumped as to these people's thought processes. Part of me really wants to know what they're thinking that leads them to this insane behavior. But the other part of me knows that I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. At least I got my chips. Our second story in this grab bag episode is from r/neighbors from hell. Posted by user Breezy Bear. Simply titled, Crazy Neighbor. So I have a 13-year-old daughter who is a typical teenager, just interested in her phone and her friends. This past weekend, she had one of her friends around my house, and around 12 o'clock, there was this pounding on the door. I went to open it, and there's my neighbor crying on my doorstep. So I ask if she's okay. She then raises her voice saying, "I've heard your daughter talking about my daughter," bearing in mind that her daughter is a 30-year-old woman. So then I ask my daughter if she has been talking about anyone next door. My daughter tells me no, we, her and her friend, are playing a game on our phones. The crazy woman then says, "Yes, you have. I heard you upstairs." I then tell her that's impossible because they've been in the living room for the past 2 hours. She then proceeds to tell me that it's been going on for months. She says my 13-year-old daughter is obsessed with her adult daughter and has been saying everything she is doing, i.e. going to the toilet, getting a shower, going downstairs, and going in the garden. We have trees dividing the gardens, so can't even see into their garden. We can't even hear them talk through the wall. So how she thought my daughter could hear that, I'll never know. Bearing in mind her adult daughter doesn't even leave the house, and my 13-year-old has never even seen her or even really knew that she lived there. All this time, she was raving at the door, sobbing, going on and on about how my daughter is obsessed. I was staying calm and explained how my daughter doesn't care about her daughter. I then asked why a 13-year-old would care what your adult daughter is doing. She then shouted at me that my daughter was nuts. This is where I lost it and slammed the door in her face. Since then, every night, one of them keeps knocking and scratching the joining wall. It's a family of 4: mother, father, adult son, and adult daughter. I've only ever spoken to the mother, the one that came to my door, and only have seen the father once. What should I do? They're nuts, and I don't want them to do anything to my daughter. Our third story in this grab bag episode is another one from Neighbors from Hell. Strap in. This one is from Final Appeal 5429. I put up a fluorescent fence because my neighbors complained my sprinklers got their rocks wet. Ongoing dispute with neighbors. They were angry that my husband was mowing their little 3 feet of lawn that was adjacent to ours, after doing it for 28 years. They called the police for my husband mowing that little section of grass and their area of the park strip. When the police told him that the park strip was public property and that he could at least mow that section, they put down grass killer. So I turned them into city zoning for having dead grass in their section of the park strip, as well as having nothing but dirt and weeds as their entire front yard. They were forced to either xeriscape their entire yard or put in grass. They chose the rock route. Police told them to not have any contact with us. So neighbor would video me sitting on my front porch, not speak directly to me, but make snide comments, etc. I never would respond. Then one day, they cut the wire of our electronic dog containment fence, which is along the backyard fence, hoping my dogs would jump the fence into their yard so they could turn them into animal control. Our system notified us as soon as the connection was broken, so we were able to repair it quickly. Yes, we have cameras on our house for proof. The final straw was her filming my sprinklers going while the wind was blowing and screaming how the blown mist was getting her rocks wet. I'm a problem solver. I checked into city codes, followed all laws, took out the building permit, and began work. We put up a fence to separate the property and painted one side bright colors, fluorescent green, blue, pink, and yellow and orange, and 2 sections even glow in the dark, making sure when it was installed, the colorful side was facing them. Now, no more wet rocks. There are no laws or rules for the color of a fence, the side that is painted, nor which side, ledged or flat, faces whom, and we're not an HOA. And yes, the city, zoning, building enforcement came out for final inspection and passed us off. Posted by user Bridge23UX. Got rude guy arrested for suspended license. In the mid-2000s, my friends and I would frequent a small billiards place in a neighboring town where you could rent a table by the hour or play per game. We'd play a few games, watch whatever sports were on TV, and have casual conversations. There were no problems and no drama until about 3 months of us visiting this place. A guy shows and takes our spot at the billiards table. No big deal. We're all chatting away. 20 minutes later, my friend lets him know that we want to play the next game, and the jerk is super dismissive. Needless to say, we didn't get in during the next game, so I politely let him know we wanted to play next. Another lady chimed in and said she wanted the game after us. The guy blatantly ignored me and the other woman. Some more time is going by and the guy leaves the table. We see our chance to get in. We put the quarters in, the balls are dispersed, except the green 6 ball. The guy took it to the bathroom with him. At this point, it was ridiculous, and we notified the manager. The manager noted it was 12:30, and they're going to be calling last call and closing, so he didn't want to make a big scene by kicking him out. He gets us another ball so we can play. The guy comes out of the bathroom and knows we realized what he did. He smirks and proceeds to the patio to have a cigarette, bringing along his beer and the green billiard ball. The guy comes back in and tossed the ball he was holding on to on the table, hitting a few balls on the table and messing up our game. He goes to the bar just in time for last call. One of the friends I was with suggested we follow him home and each call the highway patrol to report a suspected drunk driver. 3 of 4 of us agree. So when he leaves, we use our trusty Nextel push-to-talk phones and coordinated several calls to the police. We provided details like license plate, vehicle, make and model, and color, and mentioned the car nearly hit another vehicle. It was swerving between lines and driving erratically. This was under a 15-minute plan. We had no idea where this guy lived, but suspected it was close as he was visiting a neighborhood place, so our time was limited. The one guy who didn't notify the police tailed the jerk and called us giddy when a police officer pulled between him and the guy and turned his lights on to pull him over. The police blotter that week included an arrest of a guy who was pulled over after multiple calls of erratic driving. He wasn't arrested for DWI, but instead for driving on a suspended license. So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince. Thank you to my producer, Kevin, and we'll see you next time here on the RR Show.